favorite time of the day. It is time for the San Diego Startup Tech Report. So, we've been doing this, I don't know, a little over a year now. And it's always great to bring in folks that I think most people in San Diego know, but do they really know? Do they really know them? So I'm super stoked that we have two guests. Serhat Paula, he's with NuFund Ventures. He's also a board member at TIE, a patent holder, an innovator. What else? What else are you, Serhat? What else should we tell the people about you? Maybe something they don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess the thing to know is I never meant to be a founder. It was because of a necessity. I mean, I grew up in Turkey, and growing up in Turkey, when you saw someone that was, like a business person, somewhat successful, usually there could be two reasons. Either they did construction, which didn't really excite me, or they had some good connections. So never really inspired to be a founder. I always thought I'll be in an office and, one day I grew up and maybe I'll be a VP of something to get a corner office. So founder, I never thought I would be one.
I think you're just a natural problem solver. Listen, every time I see you speak or talk, whatever you touch, you kind of have the Midas touch. That's just my perspective. I don't know. What do you think, Fred?
Serhat, it's great to meet in person. It's my first time actually, being on a panel with you. But I'm a big fan of yours. I know you're involved with NuFund, which is a great organization supporting innovation in San Diego. And I'm honored to just be alongside you, Cheryl, and Serhat, two important leaders for the San Diego startup ecosystem.
Well, I have to say that, I was on a panel with some outside of San Diego guests yesterday. And they did feel this, so I know it's real. They said San Diego feels very collaborative compared to other places they've been. And I think I don't want to just compliment everyone here. And it's like rainbows and sunshine between the three of us. But in San Diego, we love being collaborative, and you two are I feel like partners, even though we don't really have any agreements between us.
Not yet. Not yet. I'll be emailing it through the show. Watch your text box. But all right. So here's the tech report for this week. I'm pretty stoked about Startup San Diego Week. It's happening. We've got 3 things happening. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to come back to our esteemed guest, and we're going to talk about what they're seeing on the horizon. We're talking about AI hype, the investment landscape. We're going to talk about family offices too. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. And I would be totally remiss if I didn't do a shout out for the fact that I'm reporting live from the Women's Venture Summit. Okay, so there's a lot of money flowing. There's a lot of deal flow. We got Cooley in the house giving me the little fan here. I got Oku here chomping down on this stuff. This place is wild with ladies raising bucks. So I'm just saying, this is a great day to talk about innovation. But back to the main vibe, Startup San Diego, 3 platforms. Okay, so we've been doing Startup San Diego Week for 13 years. Right? It's amazing. It's epic. 2,000 plus people, all your best friends, 5 different locations across the city, even down to Tijuana, no joke. And also too, OpenX, Startup X. You know what Startup X is? It is the open platform. So let's say just for example, if Fred wanted to do a journalist meetup, he would just go in and create an event, and he could do his own thing and participate and plug in. So if you're a tastemaker, a thought leader, an event person, or new to San Diego, and you just want to be a part of the vibe and put some branding, co-marketing, plug into Startup X. And we're going to see a lot of people here at Venture Summit today jumping on. We have people from LA, also in Irvine. But hey, as Serhat had said it, listen, we've got some rainbows and love going on over in this community. That's why everyone wants to participate and play, because we're pretty cool to each other most of the time. Anyway, all right. So that's my pitch for the Startup San Diego Week. Oh, there was one more thing I was going to say. Startup Weekend. Startup Weekend is back, and it's actually going to be happening on the 3rd through the 6th at Answer Innovation. And Startup Weekend is going to be at, I know what I was going to say. What I was going to say is if you buy a pass for Startup Week, you get Startup Weekend for free, and you get access to X as well. That's free already anyway. Net, buy your pass. Come on out. Enough with the plug. Let's get to the dudes. First dude up, Serhat Paula. Okay, so we got to talk about the Rubik's Cube on the desk. This looks like a secret. This is a secret that we want to unpack, okay? So talk about your Rubik's Cube for a minute.
How about the Rubik's
The
Cube?
AI.
Yeah, I usually put it over here where it's not visible, and then sometimes as the conversations are long and I'm in a completely listening mode and I don't get a chance to speak a lot, and then I'm not really feeling what I'm hearing.
Just keep him busy. You keep
Yeah,
him busy.
I'll be doing this, and you know, like this is my little secret.
I love it. Yeah, so if he picks it up, you guys need to start showing him some better metrics to get his attention back in. But all right, but so let's start on the show. The state of startups. We're getting ready for Startup Week. Startup Boston just happened. Startup LA. Like, this is the season for startup. The reason why I wanted to talk to both you guys is I really wanted to get your read and your take on, are we in an AI hype, right? We're hearing all kinds of things. I want to also talk to you about the state of the nation of funding. The profile is changing. We're seeing family offices crop up. We're seeing different deal structures happening. So can I start with you, Serhat, and just say, number one, what is your kind of headline sensibility you're thinking about where we are today in AI, in startup, and in San Diego? Just general impressions, and then we're going to kick it over to you, Fred.
Okay. So as a former founder, and once you're a founder, you're always a founder, I am bound to be optimist. That comes with the territory. Otherwise, you cannot be a founder. And I don't like the AI hype. I hear it. You know, I was a founder during the internet bubble, but like the AI hype, when I look at who's talking about the AI hype, it's usually the economists. And I can say this because my undergrad is in economics. I think the economists tend to look at things in the rear mirror to figure out the future. And they've been very wrong before. You know, if you go back to some of the, previous esteemed economists making predictions about the internet bubble, this time around, it's even more deeper. And again, we can talk about the reasons of it later on, but I do not think that we are in AI bubble. Nothing that I see makes me believe so. And I'm excited. Having said that, I know that we're going through a almost generational, transformational change in venture-backed disruptive company funding. And so even though the future is very bright, I know that we're going through some really struggling times, and we're going through that transformation. So the mechanics and the realities of what's going on, they do not match. And I believe that is going to be a challenge for a lot of founders for at least probably a couple more years.
Yeah, but that's good. And thanks for the feedback. And Fred, I'd love to hear your high level take too. I mean, you're watching real estate. I mean, everyone knows you, Fred Grier, journalist extraordinaire, real estate guru, probably, just one of the best, well-known, loved guys. If you want to get your story, you got to know Fred. So what are you seeing? What do you think? And what's your response to Serhat and his Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. I wouldn't be in the role I am without a select few of people in San Diego who supported me. Neil Bloom actually helped me get my first job working as a reporter at the San Diego Business Journal. Mike Crin, who used to run Connect, was a mentor and still remains a mentor. Sylvia Ma, who helps run and create the Women's Venture Summit, was also a huge mentor. And like my whole career has been built off of people who believed in me before I could. And so it's just really awesome to be able to pay it forward whenever I can. But yeah, back to the topic of today, which is, AI hype versus real. You can't go read a press release without seeing the word AI quoted in most companies these days. It's apparent in the data. I would say over 50% of venture capital funding is going into either AI or defense tech. Life sciences has been ebb and flow, but we're seeing interest in some AI focused biotech companies. And so I think if you're not using AI in your business today, you probably won't make it in the next few years. It's here to stay. I know some of the top deal makers in town are going all in on AI in some form or shape. We're seeing that kind of pick up a lot in the Bay Area and New York with companies taking space. We have OpenAI, Anthropic, the big guys. Also, there's a war between Meta and Google and big tech, who are acquiring startups. NVIDIA also acquired AI company in San Diego for undisclosed price. It was called Gretel AI, which was started by a guy named Alex Watson, who is a serial entrepreneur and it was kind of made headlines in March of this year. And so we're seeing M&A activity in the AI companies as well, as far as acquisitions and talent poaching. It's been kind of like a roller coaster to kind of follow from talking to founders and investors. It's definitely active.
Yeah, and I think you have some really good bellwethers and signals as, as our buildings being purchased, and in watching that movement. So it's really, really good insight. And I would say if I reflect and harken back on the, I think a bellwether for many people is, the .com age and that hype, what's different, there's some similarities there. I think what we're seeing is from an infrastructure standpoint is it's not really about this last mile tools, a death of 1,000 subscriptions. It's more about the infrastructure and the strategy. And so I got to give a call out to groups like Cadre AI that are really thinking about the systems and the efficiency and ultimately change management. Like, where are you going with AI? What's your goal? So it's like AI is not an end to itself. So phenomenal insights on that. So Serhat, if I could just kick it back over to you. When we first kicked it off, we talked also the profile of access to capital. How is what's happening in AI? How is that changing the landscape? And Fred, you had actually mentioned your screenshot was from a family office thing. So it's like we're seeing a lot of the family office. Actually, one of the major sponsors for Startup Week is a family office, a new family office that's being designated. And so we'll hear more about that in October. But the net is, can we talk about the financial vehicles for founders if they're feeling overwhelmed and confused and like the landscape is changing under their feet? How should they be thinking?
Yeah, you made a good point about remembering about the internet transformation, and there are similarities and differences. And I want to go back to that a little bit because we don't have a lot of I think clear signals about what to expect in the future, other than maybe looking at a couple of recent transformational platform changes. But this time, what is completely different about AI is when we were going through the internet transformation, the large companies, the largest companies that dominated the industry were not the early adopters. We're not trying to lead the change. They were actually trying to stop the change, didn't believe in the change. That's why we had a bunch of early stage companies that were able to penetrate through that, darkness and create things that, that made those companies really legacy companies that we talk in the past tense right now. But this time around, the change is being driven by these large companies. And I think there's a lot of, there's a very significant change. Not only for founders, I think for investors, creating complexity. I mean, in investor circles, there's excitement. There's excitement about what's going to change. I mean, all these transformational changes will create opportunities. But when you know that the big players that cornered everything are also the ones that are early adopters, want the change to happen, and controlling the change, it does give not only less room for founders, they have to go a little bit more niche and vertical and have to be, but also create a very ambiguous, unclear environment for investors. Even though, in our circles of investors discussions, what I'm seeing is people want to invest, but the moment that you're looking at some opportunities and you're trying to visualize the future, you always see, okay, but that could be a future on Uber. That could be do this like with 3 months and this much money they can, and it becomes so much harder for investors to make the bet because of these large players.
Yeah. Wow, that's super insightful. So with that landscape as it is, that being the reality, what should startups do? Like what is it? How is the playbook changed? And what would you recommend they do besides persevering, right? Besides staying connected, besides showing up and doing all those things? And is there something new in the playbook for startups that they should be thinking about in this season as we go into 2026?
I think they the planning and strategizing and thinking early on now is more important. Because yes, you can pivot, you can, things are dynamic, you can change, but you probably have to think about the long game a little bit earlier, not just necessarily in terms of the value proposition and the company, the solution you're trying to build, but also about which game are you going to play. I think right now, like when I was an internet founder in the late 90s, the venture funding wasn't there. The ecosystems wasn't there. So fundraising was a nice to have, but it wasn't the game. Whereas in the last 15, 20 years, as the ecosystem developed and all the signals the founders are hearing all about, oh, we got to raise this much money, and raising money, how much money they raised almost became a gauge of their success. They almost immediately think about, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then they start to think about, okay, if I'm going to raise funding, then how should I be thinking about? How should I structure it? I will urge early stage company founders that are working on startups today to, first of all, figure out what is it that they're building. Do they really have to build a venture fundable business?
Right.
It might not have to be. I mean,
yeah.
That's there is a new reality of these more agile, nimble startups that might not need as much money. So I just urge founders to think about the whole picture a little.
Yeah, maybe the timeless truths of business. How about earn some cash, right? So that sounds like what you're saying. Like, let's show that there's a willingness to pay, right? Yeah.
Or they don't have to be. They can be resourceful. I mean, starting an AI company in a very vertical use case, even if it's a wrapper at the beginning, still there might be a path of looking at the problem and not focusing on the solution that you want to build. There could be resourceful ways with very little funding. You could start the wheels turning.
Right. Yeah. But it's very good insights. And I just shifting gears, but in that same theme, Fred, as a journalist, this is probably the most disruptive area is content, right? And so knowledge is now a commodity. Everyone can be a PhD with a quick subscription to ChatGPT and a sense of the right question. How do you think this changes journalism? And apology, I didn't share this question with you in advance, but as I'm thinking about it, and all of these folks are brand building, the new startup, I don't believe it's a solopreneur. I think it's 2 or 3. I think your whole go-to-market function gets collapsed, right? So when you think about that, they're building content, they're all using AI. You're a journalist, like what do you think is the big headline takeaway that people should be thinking about relative to telling stories using, the best of these tools, the pros, the cons, the ugly, the not ugly? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think we're still trying to figure that out. But I think storytelling has never been more important because of AI. Anyone can have a podcast, a blog, a Substack.
As proven.
Create content really, really easily. And so there's more noise, and I think people are looking for signal in the noise. And you should be on platforms like LinkedIn, X, and Twitter is a good way to meet investors. And I think it's about being a part of things that are happening in the community, whether it's San Diego Startup Week or LA Tech Week or SF Tech Week. Go to these events, capture content. What did you learn? Who did you meet? And share that online. That's a good way to kind of build trust with your audience. I think people buy and they invest and they want to work with people that they have seen online. And, people come up to me now at coffee shops in San Diego. Hey, I read all your content. I see you post on LinkedIn when you read with so-and-so. I also know them, or it's just a good conversation starter. So I would recommend, capturing your story, whether you're a first-time founder, there's learnings that you can share, or if you're a serial entrepreneur, you maybe built some companies and sold those. You can use content to help storytell, and people can learn from you.
Sounds like we're really getting back to trust, right? Stephen Covey said, business moves at the speed of trust, right? So we could trust Fred, Serhat. We see him around town. We see him at events. We see them help startups. We see them invent, grow, create, drive this economy. And so you're basically saying the page for startups is get out in the community, right? And so it kind of leads to my next question, which is really a stupid question, if I'm being honest, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Is like, you see some startups that spend a tremendous amount of time front facing, a lot of talking, a lot of content out front. And then you see people that are building in the background. talk a little bit about, like, do you have any jaded perceptions about hype marketers versus people that are events all the time, or do you think this is a balance? And do you like to see folks out? I mean, obviously, I have a motive. I want people to come out to Startup San Diego. We know that this is where people shake hands, they meet, they talk, they connect. But what do you think about how many events are critical to be connected to get business done here in San Diego?
Yeah, I can chime in here. I think it's about being at the right events, whether it's Startup San Diego, Biocom, Connect. There's also private curated events by service providers like law firms and consulting firms. I asked some of the people who have raised over 10 million in funding, like, hey, what events do you go to? And the answer, it's a flip of a coin. Say, hey, I go to some events, or hey, I don't go to any events at all. Or hey, I'm flying to LA or San Francisco to meet for investors or have board meetings. And then I fly right back to San Diego because it's, same day flight. And they're able to kind of have their network outside of San Diego as well. I think you need to be doing everything. If you're a fundraiser, you're fundraising, you're trying to get customers, you're trying to get investors, you're trying to recruit talent. I think the most successful companies and founders that I see in San Diego, they're in the right rooms, they're attending the events, are showing up, and you never know who you might meet who can connect you to what you're looking for.
Yeah, so that sounds like nothing's changed on that front, Fred, that you think this is a critical part of doing business. How about you, Serhat? And maybe we could talk a little bit about TIE too. I know that you serve on the TIE board, which is a fantastic organization, a partner to Startup San Diego as well.
Yeah, I mean, Fred gave a great answer. I just want to add a couple more, maybe different perspectives. One, it really depends on who you are, because I know founders that go to events, come back energized, and then go back and start building. And, they are like, I saw this, I hear this, I have this. And then they utilize the event's energy and build with it. But then I also see founders that go to event and come back drained because they feel like, oh, I couldn't do it. Oh, I mean, it's being a part of being an introvert and extrovert. So I think that's a consideration of if you know who you are, and you weigh the pros and cons of going to an event. I think that's critical. So that's one aspect that I want to add to the picture. The second of it is doing events in different circles, in different groups of connections. After all, I mean, we talked about San Diego. I mean, San Diego is a big city, but it's not really a big city. I mean, Fred, Cheryl, Neil Bloom, and you get to know 5 people, 6 people. That you will be able to find a way to get to people, as long as that, those connectors believe that there is value for making that connection. So I don't know, do you really have to go to the same events back to back to back to back if it's going to be a burden on who you are as a founder? So I do recommend, being a little, curating the events and making sure that these are different circles. And like TIE, I mean, it's a great example. Like when I was a founder, I love going to TIE events. That they used to happen in La Jolla. I can't remember exactly where. They had great food that I remember. So I didn't like going to events, but I love going to TIE events because they always had a great speaker, great food, and a few people around the table that I can feel connected to. Because I wasn't very good at going from circle in circle and making 2-minute connections. And I'm so happy that TIE, with the new leadership, is bringing back the TIE San Diego energy. Yeah. Because I know what it did for San Diego in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I'm really looking forward. And I know the current president is working so hard to bring that back. And I wish I could help him more. I
hear you. Right there with you. Yeah. But and then just to throw that out too, I think they're doing their 25th anniversary on October 11th in Carlsbad. I'll do my best to be there too. It is such a busy season. I guess this is why talk about events. Sometimes you got to stay home, you got to build, but you got to get that customer validation feedback. And if you're the person that gets energized by other people, then by all means get out there. Just get back to work, get some real stuff done. All right. So we're getting close to landing this plane, about 6 more minutes before we shut her down. But there is a lot of activity going on in the chat. Normally I can see some of those chat questions. At this particular point, I can't. So I'm trying my best to get that. If we don't get to your questions in the chat now. We'll get to you later. I want to just mention Startup San Diego holds reoccurring office hours every Thursday from 1 to 2. It's an open Zoom. Do you have questions about the Startup Week? Do you want to submit an event for Startup X? Again, remember, this is community programming. It's open. It's free. It's no cost. It's kind of, think of it like this, like there's TED and then there's TEDx. Well, Startup X is basically like you can build your own event. There's rules, there's guidelines. Don't do anything weird, create a nice event, right? So got to get that plug in there. But getting back to the show before we land this sucker is what excites each of you about this point in time? And if you could have anything, any dream come true of like what San Diego's missing, give us some insight about what you think the next needs are. But first, start us out with what excites you, what you love that's happening now. It's a big question too.
Yeah, I'll chime in and share some data as well. I mean, in 2021, we saw insight of what San Diego could be. We had about $9 billion of funding go into San Diego companies. We had companies like Telium, Seismic. We had consumer companies like Manscaped, which is a men's grooming brand. We had UA Clothing, kind of just growing. Flock Freight, Too Simple, Brain Corp. I think we had about 7 to 10 unicorn companies. And we also had tier 1 investors actively investing in San Diego. We had Section 32, SoftBank, Lightspeed, and the funding has gone down since then. 2024, it was about, I think, $4 billion in funding. And, we have some new players emerge, Drata, Trust and Will, Platform Science. And so we're starting to see some great companies get started right here in San Diego and hire locally. I think for me, I'm really excited about the community aspect. There's been a new crop of community builders and just physical hubs bubbling up. There's been a defense tech meetup happening recurrently once a month. Evo Nexus is now back in UTC market, trying to serve tech companies. We have Connect doing a lot of good work in the life science and tech scene.
And new ED too, right? Over at so this is great
news. Executive director at Connect.
Yeah.
And then also the co-working spaces. We have a Kiln and Rancho Bernardo. We have WeWork.
Very nice.
We have Industrious. And so, we're starting to see physical hubs pop up across town. It's not just downtown anymore. We have a hub in UTC and Del Mar, La Jolla, North County. And I really think we need to have more community builders get on an event ship and start San Diego, and really step up and just support the diversity of industries that we have here. We have biotech, we have software and AI, we also have government jobs, hospitality, consumer, CPG, beauty.
Defense.
So there's opportunity to get involved in San Diego in so many ways.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's good stuff. Serhat, how about you?
What excites me is the fact that San Diego has always been, number 2, number 3, number 4 in a bunch of different technologies. I mean, we have always been great talent, great place, quality lifestyle, but we really did not have, I would say, a lot of number ones. But we're in a very particular time of technology transformation that with the AI, these technologies are converging. So that convergence, I think, creates a tremendous opportunity for San Diego, because I don't see there are many other ecosystems that are as well positioned with the diversity of great technologies. Take it from semiconductors to biotech to IoT, to defense tech. There's a lot of great technologies that as those technologies are converging, the fact that we have so many in a defined place, in a very collaborative environment, I think is going to create tremendous opportunities. And we have great community builders. I think we could do probably a little better. Serving community builders to work together. I think that's one of the challenges that we have right now.
That's a good one. Yes.
People that want to do great things, but not a mandated organization that is designed to build that community builders work together so that the multiplier effect is higher. So I'm hoping that that will be one of the things that can empower the growth.
Yeah, I think that is you nailed it. It's like we have everything we need to be super successful. A little more collaboration. I think we were just going to be singing, but I'm super excited because again, sellout at we expect a sellout show at Startup San Diego. Just going to land this plane by saying Startup Week is Startup Weekend, October 3rd to the 6th. 6th through the 10th is Startup Week, and the OpenX platform. You too can create your own event. Thank you, Serhat. Thank you, Fred. And chat, people in LinkedIn, send us your questions. What did we miss? And if you want, jump into our office hours Thursday, 1 to 2. Get all your resources at startupsandiego.org. We love you. Stay classy, San Diego. I think that's it. I think we just landed this plane, guys. Did we do okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. I appreciate your insights, and we'll do a recap article. And guys, I look forward to reconnecting. Let's do this show again and see if we got better in community in 2026.
Let's do it.
All right. Take care. Peace out. All right. I think Ella is shutting us down. So this concludes the show. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your insights.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Thanks for having us.
Good stuff.
Nice
all right.
So, yeah.
Okay. So hope to see you at Startup Week. And then, of course, Serhat, we'll see you at the Thai event. And if anyone hasn't been to Thai events, they got to get out there and do it. I agree with you. The best food, the best dressed. And that's for Jay. He's a snappy dresser.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. All right, guys. We'll X out. Have a great day. Thank you again
Awesome.
for your
Thanks
time.
so much.
All right. Bye-bye.